How did you spend your time during COVID? And if you have kids, how did they spend their time? I just watched a video, and what it was that it was a YouTube video featured by a teenager who had his own YouTube channel who flew across North America interviewing other teenagers just like him who had all during COVID became multi millionaires, some of which even have 30 plus employees with them. Now, how old am I talking? And what do you mean during COVID? Well, left to their own devices, these kids, meaning they were around 14, 15 years of age, decided to start going down a YouTube rabbit hole and think about ways that they could make their own money. Some of them tried drop shipping, others tried creating their own YouTube channels, others started looking at things like day trading and starting investor funds, and so much more. These kids figured out, after trying a few different options on what they could learn how to do, self-taught themselves by learning from others on YouTube channels and started their own businesses. A few years later, now all still teenagers, 17, 18 years of age, they are multi millionaires many times over, living in their own places. Some are still going to high school and multitasking, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, working on their business, going to school, coming home and working on their business some more. Very interesting case study. So I encourage you to watch it below. Now, wow, that's really cool. I mention it because of this. What if the pandemic hadn't happened? What if they weren't left at home to their own devices with a lot of time on their hands? Would those teenagers still be today multi millionaires? It's an interesting question. What if they had been forced to still continue to go to school? Well, I say forced, but really it's just a natural part of our society. It's what most of us did growing up as well. This is a great example of self-directed learning. Now, when I say self-directed learning, sometimes people get a little squirrely about that. They picture kids being left in a room being told, hey, go to it and do whatever you want. And we picture kids just playing video games all day long and letting their mind go to mush. But there's a lot of different ways of doing self-directed learning. And the self-directed learning that I really love is, let's put it to you this way. Imagine a buffet of food. So many different options of food. And in fact, more and more options continue to be added to this buffet, one after another. Your teacher or facilitator says, go to the buffet, and I want you to take a little bit of everything until your plate is full. Go try it. Now, even if you think you won't like something, just try it anyway. It's just a sample. Try it. And when you find something you really love, you can go back to the buffet a second time, a third time, a fourth time. In fact, you can go into the kitchen and start asking the chef, how did they make that dish? And then if you want, you can start making your own dish or your own variations of that dish. Go down rabbit holes on that thing until you either exhaust your interest in it and want to go back to the buffet to try something else, or until you decide that this is the thing that you want to do. You want to become this ambassador, this innovator in that particular type of dish. And of course, in this analogy, a dish would be an industry, a sector, an innovation, a technology, anything. In this day and age, there are so many innovators and youth, meaning youth under 30, heck, even youth under 20, that are multimillionaires. And they're doing it by creating their own roles, by taking the things that they love in this world, learning everything they can about it, and then innovating around it and making money. And yes, YouTube is certainly a way that many of them are doing it, but that's just one part of their revenue stream. They're often creating products and courses. They've got so many other components that is contributing to them being able to earn their own living. So I mentioned that to bring up the idea of self-directed learning and to maybe shine a different light on it, but also to talk about opportunity cost. When we look at our trajectories of what we feel we're supposed to do in this world, from K-12 education, college, university, ongoing professional development, climbing up the corporate ladder, even if you have your own business, there's a certain lineage that we feel like we're supposed to have as a trajectory. But are we creating our own opportunity costs by walking along these paths? Would it benefit us to maybe take that year or two to just really self-direct ourselves and remove ourselves from whatever that traditional lineage of learning, developing, growing, building, earning revenue is, and see what comes of it. And if you perhaps look at yourself and say, well, I'm too old for that, I've already got bills and things like that, what do you think it was going through their parents' mind of these multimillionaire teenagers when their child said, Mom, Dad, I want to start my own business? Heck, do you think the kids even asked for permission? And what happened that day that that child came to their parents and said, Mom, Dad, I can cover the mortgage this month because I make more than both of you combined? Would you still want your child to continue finishing school? Would you look at your own life and think, geez, how could I do things a little bit differently the way that my child is doing things? Just some food for thought. Take a look at the video and let me know what you think.